Can you hear me now? Yay, nay. Still no? Ugh, I don't understand what's going on. Yay, you can hear me. We're heard, Luna. Okay. I just refreshed my web browser. There's literally no reason for it to not work. So I'm gonna pick some different music for the background. Our star Luna, right, Luna? Okay. So anyway, yeah, literally stuff, turn it off and turn it on. So as I was saying, I'm gonna be doing a favorite of mine. This is going to be the Unfolding Path Tarot. I'll be using that for readings. And then for our community readings, I am pulling out the signs of our times. So forgive me if my shuffling sounds a little janky. I have a cat on my lap. Thank you guys for being so patient. Alrighty, Luna, relax. Let's do our community read. Let's see what we have going on. First card here. Ooh, this is beautiful. I've been thinking about these succulents, which is resilience. Look at how beautiful and colorful that card is. Oh, I just love that. So part of it, I feel like that's really cool is this time of year we start to have the cherry blossoms coming out. Spring is really like on the horizon, and like the video if you can hear Britt. Spring is on the horizon, and I just feel like this is a time to like be a little resilient. Like we still have a few cold days. Days are starting to become less dark and dreary overall, and pushing through to the bigger and brighter things that are coming up. Let's see what we have next. Next card. Here we go. Oh, I just love getting this. I think we got this last week. The Evil Eye, which is protection. So allowing yourself to be resilient throughout this time, but also protecting your energy as you do that, making sure that you're not being sucked into things that just don't serve you, things that are dragging you down, things that just are not beneficial to you in some kind of way. Oh yeah, the spring equinox was yesterday. Good looking out stuff. I guess it technically means we are in spring, which is crazy. Been getting enough rain, so it feels like it, I guess. All right, last card here. Let's see. Ooh, and recover. So this card is recycle. This is the recover card. I love the progression of this, of being resilient, protect yourself, and recover as we get into spring. It's like saying like recover so you can enjoy the vitality that spring has for us. So you could put your best step forward as we enter this new season. And also just being able to reassess where you are right now, both like mentally, physically, emotionally, all of that. And what areas of those things do you need to find a little bit of recovery? Where do you need to feel like you need to protect some of that energy? And where do you feel like you need to be a little bit more resilient? Yeah, I love that. Hey, Lynn. Just so you guys know, my name is spelled this way. I get that a lot, so I'm not offended or anything. Alrighty. If you guys would like extra details in your readings, you can use my tip link in the description. All right, we have in the queue Danny, Steph, Ari, Mariana. I always nervous I'm pronouncing your name wrong. And Lynn. So if you'd like to join the queue, use !join. And first up is going to be Danny. Oh no, not a major meltdown, Luke. Hopefully no one was on the wrong side of that meltdown. Luna, you can't be picky about my shuffling when you're sitting on my lap. She doesn't like the sound. It's okay, Lynn. There are people at my job who literally email me using my name to find my email and still spell my name wrong. I had one person call me Stephanie once. Like literally in a Teams meeting, you can see like when I'm talking, my little bubble pop up with my full name, and they called me, no, not Stephanie, Sarah, which is even more egregious. At least Stephanie and Brittany rhyme. So Danny, I don't do third-party readings, but I can see what the energy is between you guys. Hey, CJ, happy Friday. Man, I feel like I haven't seen you in 2 weeks now. Awesome, I can do that. Let me just highlight this just so I have something to focus on. All right, let's see what the energy is between you and this Scorpio named Jake. First card here. This is like one of my favorite cards in this deck. It's just so beautiful. And last card. All right, so we have the Star card, Justice card, and then the Magician. It's very interesting. We're starting off already with like all major arcana. I feel like this is really important, but I also feel like a lot of this right now is still just internal to you. I don't think there's really any actual connection that's happening right now. But what I feel like Tarot is saying, hold on. Where the heck have I been? I've been at dodgeball. I just don't play on Thursdays. So I think that's why. But I'll be back next season for Thursday. But I feel like because you have the Star card, I think beginning this reading, it feels very much like a lot of this is really probably mostly hopeful energy from your side. I'll use the term like wishful thinking in a kind of way. But I don't know that you guys are in a place for there to be any real interest yet. It's almost like, dipping your toes in to see how the water feels and checking the temperature, so to speak, because the Star card is all about hope and, just kind of feeling those desires, hoping that your wishes are being granted, but there's actually no result from them. It's just, it's like in the now, so to speak. But on the other side, we have the Magician. So these cards mirroring each other seems very hopeful in the sense like right now, yeah, there's probably no real interest. There's probably no real connection that's happening. But if you are willing to put in the time and manifest the things that you want and put that kind of energy out there in the world, then it could possibly manifest into something. This is very much like the future isn't defined. It's gonna be more clear when more time passes, but you have the option right now to really put in some solid foundation, I would say. In the middle of the reading, kind of just reinforces all of that, where you have the Justice card. And this is very much the card of the energy you put out is going to be the energy you get back. So if you are, the Magician card is about manifesting your desires. You have the tools to create the things in the world that you want. So if you lean into that side of things, I think that things could be beneficial, but there's really no surety or like a surety. I'm sorry. There's really no surety in terms of the here and now, what the future could look like. It's very, very nebulous right now. And I don't know if like you guys are in the midst of your first conversation, or maybe just finished that first reconnection after months of no contact, but it feels very much like you have to go through a few of those to kind of see where things are, and you will have to make the conscious effort to decide, like based off of those conversations, if it's worth putting more energy into with this Justice card. Do you feel like it's worth putting more time in and kind of feeding that cycle in order in hopes of getting something out of it? So I'm sorry it's a little nebulous, Danny, but I just don't. One of the things about future readings is it can go either way, right? And I don't think that you have a clear enough path for tarot to give you a clear enough answer. There's a few things that have to happen first. You're welcome. But I will say, based off of the cards that you had, I will say that it feels very positive. It feels very much like you're in control and you have the ability to make whatever it is that you want out of this. You have the ability to make it real. So I would say give yourself that time and patience and kind of suss it out a bit. All right, Steph, you're up next. Oh, I like this question. All right, let's pull you some tarot oracle as well. Let's see what overall themes your spirit team has for you with regards to this energy you're trying to. We got our same card. I feel like that community read was very pertinent to you. Let's pull one more. Okay. So I already talked about this card in our community read. If you remember, this card, Succulence, was the Resilience card. And then this is the Medical Staff card. This is the card of healing. This is one of the cards that made me buy this deck, actually, this healing card here. So let's see what tarot has for you. This card. So you have the Three of Cups, Ace of Swords, and the World card. This feels really positive. I feel like your spiritual team is really telling you, first and foremost, you just need to be a little resilient. So this is kind of insinuating that you kind of just have to, like, a little part of it is going to really be about pulling up your big girl pants and just kind of pushing through and trudging through this not so fun energy right now. And part of goal accomplishment can be that trudging, but at the same time, I think that the process, if you look at it more so of like if you really think about tarot as like the journey of the Fool and transitioning into the world that you have, think of where parts of it might have actually been more healing than you might have realized, meaning that you have been resilient through parts of things and you have come out better for having been so. So I think your spiritual team is really saying, like, ultimately it sucks to feel like you're in it right now, but if you look at where you have come from and where you are right now, really, how much have you grown and changed, and how much have you really, ultimately, how much better have you gotten from before, right? So with the tarot specifically, I think ways that you can do that are being highlighted here. I'll start with the middle of the reading. You have the Ace of Swords. So this really feels like your team is saying, like, hey, it feels a little rough. Yeah, you got to be a little resilient, but it's going to be worth it, because the Ace of Swords has this air of like victory. And even though your goal is to kind of reach your end goals, there's almost like this idea that once you reach that goal, it's really going to open up new paths that you can go down, and you're going to have the ability to start something new and feel victorious at that beginning. And I think this being at the heart of your reading is something to keep in mind. It's like, yeah, you're trudging through right now, but you really have like something awesome waiting for you to start at the end of this. So on the one side here, we have the Three of Cups. Some of this is going to have to be relying on your support group emotionally, and that's okay. We all kind of have those moments where we need to utilize a little bit more emotional energy from our support groups than we usually want to. I think this is both physical and spiritual. So like, rely on your spiritual team for sure. But then on the other side, rely on your friends, right? Just kind of let them know where you're at and hear their opinions and their thoughts. And it's not that you necessarily need to pivot or take any specific advice. It's just good to know that you are able to share your struggles with other people, and they can talk to you like a human being, right? And feel connected. And I think that connection is really going to help with a lot of this. On the other side, you have the World card. This very much reinforces like that accomplishment that you were talking about. And it's like this really awesome cycle I see between the Ace of Swords and the World card, where the World card is saying you've reached your end goal. This is the end of the major arcana. The Fool has achieved everything they wanted to achieve. They have reached every goal they wanted to reach. And I think that it's saying, your team is saying, you're on the right path, ultimately. Because at the end of your reading, this is where you're going to end up. You're going to end up feeling that fulfillment and contentment that the World card brings. So, yeah, a little bit of it is just saying hang in there. But some of the advice is to really reflect on your journey a bit in the ways of how periods of it have been a little healing. So that way you can kind of keep those little nuggets with you and take them as almost like mini milestones, mini accomplishments. And then also rely on your friends and your support group, whatever that team looks like for you. Just people you can talk to, so you don't have to internalize everything and you're able to get it out. The thing that is missing, you're missing some pentacles here. Well, no, this is earth energy. You're missing fire. You're missing some fire, right? So I think that the missing card, the missing element here, is also a bit of advice. In this healing, where can you find that spark that will help you get to the end of whatever this accomplishment, your goal that you are reaching towards, right? So try to find that spark. And I think in this reflection, in this healing, I hope, and the resiliency and stuff like that, really, I think that will help you reassess why you started on this journey to begin with and reinvigorate that spark. But yeah, I think definitely you have a little bit of that fiery energy missing that you need to refine. It is shift. So I will say, earlier in the year, like end of last year, I started therapy, and that is like one of the biggest things that we talk about is shifting the mindset. And it's so hard because there are times where I'm just like, but everything is horrible. And she's like, okay, but where in that isn't it horrible? And I think that's where some of this is coming from, or some of the thoughts. Hey, Robin. All right, Ari, you are up next. Yeah, Steph, I think you should definitely explore that more. One of the things that I like with let me rephrase that. One of the ways that I like to do my readings is to kind of give you guys the power to take control over the things you're asking. It's really like my goal. It's not something you can always do, but where in the situations that we end up, can we take a little bit of control or ownership and empower you to do X, Y, and Z, right? So I think that's what I'm hoping for you, is that as you have heard my readings, that it inspires you to do certain things. I'm sure things are like firing as you think about them. That's the goal. I forgot how much I really like this deck. It's just so gorgeous. If you didn't see the live stream with me and Sil from Sunday, I pulled this out for one of the topics. I don't even remember anymore, but it was such a fun tag. And it was such a fun tag. And I really got to think about the decks that I have in a different mindset. So yeah, if you're curious about that, go ahead, check it out. It's basically the tag of Robin suggested it. Robin from Robin's Reflections. If I could read for anybody, living or dead, who would it be and what deck would I use? So that was such a fun live stream. Ari, I don't do third-party readings, so Zach's reasons for that are his own. Do you want to rephrase that or ask something else? I can ask maybe why you attract hookups, I guess, if that's cool with you. Oh no, I have a chip in one of my cards. That's interesting. Ooh, CJ joined the queue. So, sorry, I'm rethinking. Okay, I'll ask that. We'll see. I'll ask that yeah. Let me tag that so I don't lose it. like I pulled did I pull the Tower for you last week? This feels somewhat reminiscent. You have the Queen, the Lovers, and the Tower. I don't fully remember. Okay, so you had the Queen felt reversed because of the mirroring here with the Tower, but these two support each other in a way. So this one stands out as being unusual. So I'll go in order. I was going to start in the middle, but I'll go in order. So I think that the root of the issue is that emotionally I feel like I've given this reading to you before, so sorry if it sounds repetitive. There must be some disconnect in the decisions. I'm starting in the middle, actually, with the Lovers. There must be some disconnect with the people that you're choosing, the decisions that you're making, with how you are. There's a disconnect between the decisions and the emotions, and they are manifesting in ways that don't work out. So the Lovers card is about connections, but also the decisions that we make within those connections, and in this case anyways. And I think that there is room for those things, but it's almost like imagine yourself at a crossroads, and sometimes we just make a lot of the same turns over and over because it's weirdly in our comfort zone, even though we know it doesn't work for us. Part of this might stem from the Queen here. The Queen of Cups is usually like, she is the most emotionally in tune queen. She's usually very intuitive and just understands where she needs to, when she needs to wear her heart on her sleeve, or when she needs to keep her emotions, tight against her instead of giving them away freely. And I'm wondering if maybe that's part of what you're struggling with, and you're letting like superficial things cloud that decision making. So because you're aware, I'm sorry, I'm reading as I'm talking. You're aware that the people that you're attracted to are only attracted to you in superficial ways. And then the people you're not attracted to, you tend to have more depth. So you're aware that you have the ability to attract more depth to you, but there's something within you. There's this disconnect with this Queen here in reverse. There's a disconnect where you cannot give yourself emotionally to those people. And I feel like it's because you're relying on the superficial side of things too much. You're putting too much weight on that. And that's really what it boils down to. And ultimately, because you're doing that. So this Queen here, she is not as confident putting her emotions out there for the right people, and tends to make poor decisions because of it. And it results in, I won't say calamity, I feel like that's the wrong word, but it results in things where ultimately there are always going to be cracks in that. And trying to figure out why, I feel like I've said this in other live streams to other people, but comparison is like the root of all evil, right? You're never going to win in a game of comparison. There's always someone prettier, someone smarter, someone stronger, someone that is always more in some kind of way. And if that's the way that you're approaching this, in a sense like, oh, well, this guy would rather date this person and eventually marry this person instead of me, you are decentering yourself and putting the onus on other people that have nothing to do with you, and there is no winning that. So as long as you continue to do that, you are always going to end up in this cycle of where you are now. And I know it's not the only thing you value, but at the same time, there are prioritizations. And like, if you look back on past relationships or past people that you felt like would value you in those ways, have you shut them down simply because there's no physical attraction, or because there's less physical attraction than other people? And if so, that's the part that you would have to reevaluate and really reassess your decision making in that point. I mean, honestly, looking at this, what I would generally recommend is to go back and write about your, you don't necessarily have to write, but journal or voice notes, whatever way you can do this, but really reassess your past relationships and reassess all of them. The ones that ended up just being like superficial and physical versus the ones where you weren't attracted to people, and really reassess the points at which things started to not go well and why. And I think that might help make things much more clear here. Yeah, I mean, everybody has different tolerances, I guess, of attraction is probably the way I'd put it. But I think that also changes over time too. So it's like, yeah. That's such a good point, Lynn. I think that too. When that happens a lot, I think it's just like a matter of assessing what works and what doesn't, and reassessing how you approach things, honestly. Oh, Lynn, I'm sorry to hear that. I feel like being older doesn't necessarily keep you from being in the dating game. You're welcome, Ari. All right, Mariana, you are up next. Yeah, I think people don't realize how much building a connection with people builds attraction, right? Yeah, there has to be some level of physical attraction initially, but at the same time, like, when you come to care about someone, it's like, oh, this 7 is now like a 20 versus this 10 who has no personality and is really like a 5. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's part of it. Is giving yourself time to get past the superficial parts of things. Just speaking from experience, I feel like, for myself. See, I'm the opposite, Ari. I feel like, I mean, for me, I think that people are physically attractive for things that aren't necessarily physical for me. Like, people become attractive for like their intelligence or their talent. Like, I think people that can sing automatically get an extra 3 points of like physical of attraction to me, or people that can play an instrument are automatically like 4 points higher. I don't know why I assign points to this. This is crazy. But so that's kind of how I work. And I try to, I know not everybody works the same way as me, but I try to at least like give some sort of pointers in that kind of aspect and help people maybe rethink how to get through that, because me and some really beautiful people are dense and boring, and immediately I'm clocked out. And like, I'm not saying like I don't consider myself, I consider myself like maybe average in terms of beauty standards, but I think that my talents and my intelligence really bump me up in some kind of way to the people that I think I would also be attracted to. So I think there's that give and take in that. My Taurus sister. Yeah, something about skills, man. You could look like a dump truck, but honestly, if you're skillful in certain things, I'm just like automatically like, I'm in love. It's cool. Like Bruno Mars and his little shirt. So I will put him in my pocket. So adorable. Okay, very honest. Sorry. I kind of got on a tangent there. Let's see what kind of news is coming towards you this next 2 weeks. Oh, we have our second ace of the night. Okay. A lot of majors for everybody lately. Ooh, okay. So we have the Chariot, we have the Ace of Wands. This is the ace I was talking about. And also in the same position, we have the Ace of Swords in the center position in the reading 2 readings ago. And then we have the, okay, count here, 9 of Wands. So, so the Chariot is, I want to say overall, yes, you will have good news, but it is not without a little bit of advice and warning for you. So, the Chariot is water energy. This is fire. They don't play well together, which is why I reversed this. And it feels right. So the warning part of this, and I really love this, I'll get to that in a second, but the warning part of this reading really stems, I think, a lot from the Chariot and partially from the 9 of Wands, where it's saying that I think it's really talking about how you are managing yourself, right? So the Chariot really asks you to reflect on maybe you've been feeling like you have a little bit of lack of control over things right now. You feel like you've been moving in any which way, lack of direction as well. It can also manifest a bit as like turbulent energy and emotionally like just all over the place, I guess is really what I want to get at. But I think it's warning you against falling into that trap, into that cycle, because you really do have some good things coming. You may not necessarily notice it. Hopefully this reading will be the like trigger for you to keep an eye out for it though. So the Ace of Wands, aces are new beginnings, starting something new, something fresh that's coming into your life. And specifically the Ace of Wands is almost like that spark of something inspirational, something that you feel like you're finally creating something new, or something in your life is starting to sprout and bloom. So don't miss that little signal there, because it is the ace, it could be overshadowed by these other things that are happening. So be a little more aware of it. So on the other side, you have the Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands is not necessarily a bad card. It's just a card. Or you might, if you heard our community read, our resilience card, that is the Nine of Wands. Being resilient in times of struggles, or putting in a lot of work, just being able to fight through all of that guff, I guess I'll call it. So being able to fight through all of that so you can actually see the Ace of Wands come to fruition is, I think, going to be your news, right? Whatever this Ace of Wands. So if you have some passion projects, or if you have something that really just some inspiration, something like that you have been hoping for, I think that is going to be what that is going to be your good news. So just be careful surrounding that. Be careful not to fall into the trap of like aimlessness. So keep focused on what it is that you are working on or pushing towards throughout the next 2 weeks, and just keep an eye out for those good things that are starting to sprout up. Please don't all caps me. I high key hate it. Okay, Lynn, you are up next. Then I have Luke, Dodge Files, and Funboy. Welcome to the queue. Thank you for helping Funboy out, y'all. Funboy, you can send your question when I call you up. So you're currently third in the queue. Oh, similar. Okay, let's see, Lynn. See what positive changes might be coming towards you. Such a beautiful hangman card. Oh, we have the Chariot back. So you have the You have the Hanged Man, then you have the Two of Wands, and then you have the Chariot, or another repeat of the Knight. All right, so I think I'll start in the center of your reading. I think that if you have been struggling with being nervous about making changes or just any kind of changes that are happening, and therefore not doing a good job planning for things in the future, and just kind of, change can be a little scary, right? So if that's something that you have been dealing with, I think that your good news or your positive changes are that you're finally starting to break out of that, right? It's still at the center of your reading here with this Two of Wands in reverse. So it's not necessarily something that you're officially going to overcome immediately, but it's something that you're going to start to challenge within yourself. It starts off here with the Hanged Man. The cool thing about the Hanged Man card is, like, when you look at it, in this case, the Hanged Woman doesn't look concerned. It very much feels enlightened by switching how things are done and just how she sees life and how she is, her perspective on things. And Lynn, I will say, like, when life is telling you, like, these doors are closed to you now and these chapters have ended, that it can be so scary and a little lonely. And I think that it's really, even though it does feel that way, I don't think it should, right? So with the Hanged Man here, I think this is really saying, reconsider the perspective. So yeah, these chapters have ended. These doors might be closed, but what's opened up for you now? What space has it just made for you? And really, how is this benefiting you, right? Even though it's scary, maybe it's hard to give up the comfort of those things, so to speak. One of the things, I'll use kind of like some gym things here, but if you've ever done the inversion hang where you just kind of let yourself hang for a little bit, or even if in yoga you do the forward fold and you just let yourself dangle, there's this like relaxedness that comes from being inverted, where things start to become more clear and you can kind of relax into it. I think a lot of that is going to start to happen. So I don't know if it's something you're doing or something you will do, but hopefully if it's something you will do, this reading is a trigger for that. So on the other side, we have the Chariot. I mentioned the reverse in the previous reading, but the Chariot really indicates to me that in this new perspective, being able to open yourself up to accepting these things that have maybe closed off to you now invites this open space for you to explore, will really help you feel like you can take control and create the things. You could create how this next cycle looks for you and really find that direction and create that direction for yourself. And I think that these are really great positive things that are going to come towards you. I don't know how that looks in the sense like the actions that you take in that regard, but I feel like as I talk to you and as I'm mentioning these things, something in your mind's probably firing. It may not make sense right now, but something that you have to sit on. This is one of those readings where I recommend you kind of sit with it for a little bit, maybe come back and like timestamp this and come back and look at it again, listen to it again, see what kind of things pop up in the imagery and just connect with it. Yeah, it's so it's a weird dichotomy, right? To say both in the same breath that change is scary, but I'm tired of the sameness, right? So it's just, this is you fighting against that, and this is you finding your hanged moment. I don't know what that moment is for you. Is I always tell people when I do private readings, sometimes there are things that trigger, and this is something that you might want to explore. Maybe write about it, journal about it, voice note about it, or just sit on it and meditate about it and see what that looks like for you. And I think that, one of the things I really like about tarot readings is that it kind of, sometimes the reading itself is the trigger for the things that people are asking about. And I think this is one of those moments where it's just like, this is the catalyst. So I hope that it merges into those new cool things for you. No. You want uppies? Come on. You gotta be a good girl, though. Can you be a good girl? No. Okay. Okay. Luke, you are up next. As Steph said, if you are having a good time, give me a like on this video. It helps with the algorithm. So, just to let everyone know, CJ, you are up next. And Fun Boy, you are up after CJ. Just let me know you guys are still in the chat. Oh, I like this. I like this question. Okay. Let me pull it. Let me pull an oracle card for you. Let's see overall energy for this. You're so welcome, Lynn. Thanks for hanging out and providing your insight. I love when people chime in and talk about how they feel about other people's readings. Not in a like critique kind of way, but in a like I relate to this kind of way. So I love that. Thank you so much, Lynn. All right, so Luke, you have coins. This is the card of good luck. And as a Taurus, we kind of like our coins, don't we? So let's see what tarot has for you. Sorry if you hear like convoluted shuffling in the background because Luna's on my lap. I know. The Queen. Repeat. Chariot for days. All right. You have, excuse me. Hold on one sec. Actually, let me close the queue. Everybody in it is good to go. I'm just closing the queue so more people can't join. All right, Luna. So you have Judgment, the Chariot, and then the Six of Pentacles. Yes, Luna will be your good luck charm. So I think, Luke, part of this is, part of the positive energy is going to be luck, but in the way that I feel like the universe is saying luck is on your side and like things are gonna look up. It's like finding money on the ground, right? That's kind of how I see this. And then pairing that with the Judgment card. Judgment insinuates a level of reflection that has to happen. So I think, Luke, and I want to be careful in what I'm saying, right? So I suggest, based off of what I'm reading, that you reflect on the meltdown and just kind of like close that chapter and let it be behind you, but don't try to like shove it away as something that never happened. Reflect on it a little bit. I mean, we kind of all have these meltdowns from time to time. It is what it is. We're human, unfortunately, right? And I think judgment is really saying, like, what can you learn and glean from yourself in those moments, and how can you do better going forward? And that leans into the Chariot card. So the thing that I want to clarify with judgment is that I'm asking you to reflect, look at things, assess things, and then move forward versus dwelling on it. Don't stew in it, right? Don't stew in the things that you've done. You want it to be a productive thing, session in that regard. Right, Luna? Exactly. So I think in doing that, you will start to find the direction you want to go from there. I think that will help open you up to the things that you really need. It starts to make things, judgment makes things very clear for you. It's like that awakening that people experience. And in finding that, in experiencing that awakening, you start to gain control over the things that you might not have felt like you had control over. And that's part of the reflection of it, right? You're reflecting on it so you can understand, what are the triggers? What led up to this? How can I gain better control over this? And Chariot here is saying, once you do that, you're going to have control over the situations going forward. It's not going to lead to the same experiences, at least not to the same degree. And eventually, as you do this more and more, you're going to start to realize you gain more and more control of it over it, and you have better direction for yourself. And ultimately, I always love when you get any kind of pentacles, because like, you're my earth brother, right? Six of Pentacles. This is about you actually get similar cards to this a lot, how you're spending your energy and how you're giving your energy. I think this is about reinvesting in yourself. This feels very internal. So this specifically is about reinvesting your time and energy and well-being back into yourself and not giving it to others. Try to be a little stingy with your energy going forward for the time being, until you feel like you have a better handle on it. And this can also be part of the reflection. Like, did the crash out happen because you were overextending how much energy you were giving to external people versus yourself? So some things to reflect on. Yeah, so one of the things that I think that, unfortunately, as Tauruses, I feel like we are prone to crash outs because we internalize a lot of things, and it builds up and builds up and builds up, and then it becomes this like, it becomes so much that eventually it just comes out. So, like, for example, I remember telling, all right, let me put CJ up next. Repost your question for me, Siege. I remember that, like, there was a moment where I don't know why, but I was just really annoyed about something. And I recognize in myself that when I get really annoyed, I can't get out of it unless I allow myself to finish being annoyed about something. Usually that means verbalizing something or just being annoyed for a certain period of time, and then I get over it. And I recognize that I always get over it and it's fine. So I told someone, I was like, listen, I'm really annoyed right now. I'm going to be annoyed for a little bit. You need to let me be annoyed, and then I'll be fine at the end of it. And it worked. So maybe it's stuff like that you have to reflect on yourself and how you can communicate with the world what you're feeling. So that way, as Tauruses, we don't internalize these things and then explode out of nowhere. And by out of nowhere, it's always because people do these little things that just get under our skin, and we just internalize it and we're like, okay, whatever. But I will say I've found benefit in doing that. It might work a little differently for you, obviously, but just to give you examples of how you can turn situations like that around. All right, Siege, let's see what is going on. I think, just before I pull any cards, I think that there's benefit in solitude to a degree. It's when it starts to morph into isolation that I think it becomes a crutch. So that's one of the things that I will say, Siege, that you should really think on. Is it isolation right now, or is it just a period of solitude? And I think the difference is that part of what you're saying is that you feel like you're getting at least a little benefit out of it, but when you are around people and doing things, that it doesn't feel disruptive to your life. Whereas like isolation, it feels almost like it's a chore to deal with people. And I'm saying this as like a self-admitted introvert, that sometimes dealing with people is a chore, but I recognize the periods of isolation versus solitude. So just think about that for a little bit. Let me pull an oracle card for you. See just overall theme for the reading. Come on. Here we go. This was part of our community protection. It could be about protecting your time, protecting your space, protecting your energy. So let's see a little bit more. Let's see what the tarot has for you. Next card. Last card, here we go. We have our lovely star card. So I'll say I don't see what's going on right now necessarily, Siege, as self-destructive. But I see that it could be. Give me a second. Let me see. Let me get some water real quick too. I realize like my throat is dry as hell. So I do think that's reversed. So you have the Strength card here, along with the Two of Cups and the Star card. I think with the Strength card, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? But at the same time, I think that the reverse Two of Cups is a bit of a warning not to let it go on for too long. So the Strength card is, it kind of falls into that resiliency that it seems to be our community theme for today. And being able to find your strength and really tap into that inner strength mostly. And in doing so, it really helps you find a focus. And I think once you find that focus, you should make sure you make a concerted effort to re-engage with society, re-engage with your friends, family, like whatever that looks like, right? Because the warning here is in this Two of Cups in reverse. There's a disconnect. Twos are about balance and unionship, and there's a disconnect in that's happening. It's not always a bad thing, but it is something to not let go on for forever. So even though things might feel good right now, I think that this being at the center of your reading is going to start to crumble the other things, the progress that you have made in the solitude, and start to transition you into isolation, which isn't good, because what this is signifying is like we're tapping into this inner strength, we're finding our focus, we're finding the things that we are hopeful and like building those inspirations and dreams off of. With the star card, we feel like this rejuvenation with the star card, which is great. But if you let this become if you let this grow too much, it will eventually consume these things. So it's like all the good progress you made will start to fester, and you don't want that to happen. So it's like you want to cut yourself off from that before it gets to that point. And I think that point is when you finally just feel rejuvenated. I think that we feel like sometimes you just need a break from society, right? Things have been crazy right now for everybody. Everything that's been going on, especially, politically and stuff like that. So it can just be exhausting, and needing a little bit of a break is not a bad thing. I think at the end of the day, it really boils down to learning how to protect your energy and protect yourself, even when both in your solitude and both when you are re-engaging, right? So whatever that looks like for you, however you do that, this is definitely something I think that is worth exploring. It could be something either mundane or something more spiritual. It depends on what it is that you're looking for. But I think that if I were to sum up what's going on right now, I think that you're fine, but I would warn you not to let it go on for too much longer. I would say take the lessons that you're learning in this solitude, take this reinvigorated focus that you're starting to gain from it, and let yourself live in the world with that. So take those lessons learned and all of that and take that with you as you reassimilate, I guess, into society going forward, because this is the card that's worrisome, right? We want to make sure that at the end of the day, our connections with people are not becoming topsy-turvy, not out of balance, and we want to basically reconnect with those things. I would say one of the things I say a lot in my readings is find ways to flip this energy upright. It does not mean that you need to go all out at once. It just means that it's, why, camera, are you doing this? It just means that you need to start taking steps to get there. Yeah, I think that's how I'd put it. But yeah, if you want to know more, I'm happy to do some more readings for you offline. I'm sure you want to sit and think about it a little bit. Alrighty, fun boy, you have been patient, and thank you for that. Feel free to repost your question, not in all caps, please. Yeah, let it simmer. I would say, get your R&R and regain that focus, and when you're ready, take that step back into society. And I would say, I guess this is tarot aside, I think the boundary for that is probably when you feel like you're not gaining anything from your solitude anymore, is when it starts to actually become isolation. You're welcome. Thanks for being patient, Siege. Hey, fun boy. All right, let's see. I can't stand when companies keep promising like raises and then just stringing people along. That's so not cool. Excuse me. Last card here. Here we go. Interesting. You have the Nine of Wands, another repeat of the night. Seven of Wands, and then the Four of Cups. Okay. So there's a level of resilience and perseverance that's happening with these wands. So I think that is a sign that you just need to be a little bit more patient, and your company will finally give you raises. I just wonder if it's exactly what it is that you guys were expecting, or the amount rather that you guys were expecting. Because with the Four of Cups in reverse, it's like you're starting to finally become aware of the things that are being offered to you. So this card has popped up before. Nine of Wands, being resilient, pushing through the murky times that are happening in order to get to the better things. And then the Seven of Wands is about standing out. So I feel like that is a really good analogy. Fish on a hook, right? So I feel like your company is going to highlight you guys in some kind of way that makes you feel like you have really gone above and beyond, and we are celebrating you, and we are going to reward you for it, and just kind of make you feel like top of the world. But whatever it is that they're giving you, I think hopefully this tarot reading's the inspo for this. I think that you're going to realize like you have been accepting less than. Now, I always caveat in situations like this that girls slinging cards on the internet, don't go making major life decisions because of this. Make smart decisions for yourself. But what I'm seeing in this Four of Cups reversed is finally becoming aware of what's going on around you and making the decision to choose yourself and choose to do things that make you happy instead. I don't know what that necessarily looks like. I'm not saying quit your job or anything like that. But what I'm saying is maybe you start to realize that your talents would be better served elsewhere. And maybe that means you start applying other places and interviewing other places. So whatever little, pizza party that they give you isn't enough, you realize, okay, I can go somewhere else and my time will be better served. So that's kind of what I see here. So short answer to your question, I do see you guys getting raises. You were promised raises. I just don't know that it will be necessarily as much as you were expecting. Or what you felt like you deserved. And because of that, I think it serves to open your eyes up a little bit to how the company is actually maneuvering in treating you guys. Oh yeah, see, stuff like that's not cool. I think you're already starting to see it. But yeah, I would say, obviously be smart about the situation. Jobs right now probably are a little hard to come by, so be a little careful. But at least also this means you can start to better set expectations. But I would say, I don't like to do timing so much in tarot because the future is nebulous. But with the 2 Wands cards, it felt very much like this is something that the company will present to you guys pretty soon. So maybe you'll start to see something in the next week or 2. I'm sorry, fun boy. Alrighty, everybody, I am gonna get off of here and watch Severance. I'm so excited for the season finale. I'm also not excited because then I gotta wait however long for season 3. But if you enjoyed this, make sure you like the video. Feel free to come back and like relook at your readings, or re-listen to rather your readings. And if you have any questions, just put them in the comments. But yeah, thank you guys. I will talk to you guys on the flip side. Bye.